Welcome to Independent Minds, Expert Ideas, a virtual talk with true experts from all over the globe about how to thrive in a changing world. And I'm very excited to have one of my fellow co-authors from our new book, Independent Minds, Expert Ideas here, Ogopoleng Mushi from South Africa. Welcome.
Hi, Christian. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to have you here. And so you're from South Africa. You're in Pretoria right now, isn't it true?
I'm currently in Joburg. So I'm from Pretoria originally, but I stay in Johannesburg now.
Amazing. So how is the situation right now? Because everybody talks about it. We have the coronavirus spreading around the world. Yeah. So how is the situation right now in South Africa?
I would say that, you know what, the president has really done a good job this time around. Well, he's new in power, so he's doing a great job. We have different systems in place that I will not break. So he has placed a couple of rules that we're supposed to adhere to. You know, the mortality rate is not as bad as I would have expected, like being in an African country, you know. And I think the last time I checked, we had like 160 deaths overall. And it's not that many infected people as compared to other countries. So yeah, it's quite impressive how the people have also been listening and, you know, wearing their masks, staying at home. You know, there's not a lot of people on the road. I've been out a couple of times to get essentials, but like there isn't a lot of people on the road, which is very impressive. So yeah, we're getting there.
So you're allowed to go out, but you have to wear a mask, or how is it handled?
It's compulsory. Like you're only allowed to go out when you go to work, and if you have a permit to go to work. We are not allowed to switch between provinces, and it's very compulsory to wear a mask. So you're not going to be allowed to get into any store if you're not wearing a mask. So
absolutely. Challenging times with a lot of changes in different areas. And we also have to work. And you work as an entrepreneur. You have a company called Trend Consultancy, which is, I think, a PR and digital marketing company. What exactly are you doing there?
So basically, my job is to put companies and people on the grid, basically. So if we have to speak about Christian Buchholz, I have to be the one to put your name and your face out in the public. So right now, the PR end of things is kind of like shaken because obviously we can't go out, we can't have any activations, we can't do any campaigns. So a lot of my work in that area stopped the first lockdown that we had. So a couple of days before, we're just like, nope, we have to stop. So yeah, that's been on pause for a while, but obviously the digital marketing end of things is quite nice, except clients are really slow. Like people are not used to working from home, so it's quite slow, but everything is quite normal on that end.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to invest in digital marketing right now, because many people all over the world are at home right now, and they spend a lot of more times in the internet than usually. So I think exactly in these times, it's important to deal with these things and to think about it.
But companies aren't really open to that, hey? Like they do see the importance of it, but I think just like starting a whole new thing within a company, especially in a third world country, I don't know how it is over there, but starting something that new around here is not, even though it's not that new. I mean, digital marketing has been around for very long, but a lot of companies aren't open to just tapping onto that at this point in time. You know?
Absolutely. You're a true expert in your field. And what I'm always curious about is, how did people become an expert? What is your background? How did you get in this profession?
So Yeah, it's quite a long story. I think I'm more of an expert in breaking the system than I am in PR and digital marketing, because there's a lot of people that are really great at it. But let me just give you a background story of how I came here, right? So I was in university when I was 18. I've kind of like explained the story before, but like I couldn't properly communicate in English. So I worked my way around that whole thing, around that culture shock, to such a point that I was communicating like we are right now. I'm able to speak to you, and I'm able to even pull a little twang on the side. And by so doing, I was able to get onto radio, and I was a radio presenter. And before I knew it, I was recruited by the Department of Education to be a producer for their online radio. So I continued also to just like tap into different industries and environments through my speaking, I should say. And before I knew it, I kind of like translated that and transcribed it into my life motto, which is like being able to break any system, being able to overcome and be in places that I wasn't originally meant to be. So in university, I studied a BSc triple major, which is Human Physiology, Genetics, and Psychology. But like I ended up being where I wasn't supposed to be, which is the PR and digital marketing space. So I think I'm an expert really in, how can I say this? In teaching myself how to be where I want to be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the expert side of things in the field, I would be that it would be that I got to work with very important companies and very important people a couple of months into the business. You know, like I don't think we're allowed to name drop because this is going to be a public video, but like I got to work with really huge companies, you know, Fortune 500 companies. The things that I thought maybe I would be experiencing maybe 5 years into the business, but I was able to talk my way through a lot of things really, and I think that makes me quite something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you mentioned it already, breaking the systems. That is your
Yes.
topic, and that is also the topic of your chapter in the book. And
Yes.
so if you want to explain it a bit more detailed, what is the core message of breaking the system?
Yeah, a core message is the core message of the whole thing is actually much more polite than it sounds. So it's basically to say to each and every single person that you are not limited to your capacities at this point in time. You are able to re-educate yourself and redefine who you are to get wherever you want to be in life. Simple as that. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what skin color you have. It doesn't even matter what disability you have. If you want something and you want it bad enough, you can definitely do it. Even if you're not educated like me, you can definitely conquer. You can break that system and take yourself wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I like that. So it doesn't matter where you are, where your standpoint is. Just start today. You can do anything about it. And I liked. So I wrote down some sentences which I very liked from your chapter. And one was: systems are a good thing as long as they are not preventing us from change.
Absolutely.
And I'm completely into that. And we also see that in the actual situation with the coronavirus, that we have to change the system, how we live, how we work, how we do things. And we are only successful also with the fight against the virus when we change our system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's also dangerous to stay in the old system in these times. And we can do that, apply that on different situations in life.
And it's always been like that. I mean, back then, Charles Darwin said the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't change, you will die. That's how natural selection works. And I think Ilja also speaks about it on a lot of his books. I'm a huge fan. He speaks a lot about change. Like if you don't change, you will be changed one way or another, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to make the decision to change.
Yeah. When we talk about how to do that, you said in your chapter, if your why is strong enough, the how and the what will follow. I like that also. What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing?
I'm doing this partly to prove to myself that I can, but a whole lot of my why is for the people that are where I come from. Mm-hmm. I come from a village where finishing school is a thing, which is like after grade 12, you are done. Like you finish school, your whole life is kind of in a way come to an end, you know? So I'm doing it for those people. I'm doing it for those little girls who don't actually have any kind of motivation. And not just people from where I come from. I'm doing it for people all over the world who feel like they can't do anything, because I felt like that at some point. I felt like, okay, I'm limited. I can't communicate in this language. Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to be a doctor. How am I going to do it if I can't even answer a simple question? You know, so my why is for those people.
Yeah.
And for myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I get it when you told the story about your village, that you say, I'm not satisfied with the regular way, with the regular system. I needed to change something. So your why was different than maybe the why of the other people in your environment. How does that feel, and how did you deal with that? Because I can imagine that people don't understand what you're doing and that they really think that it's stupid or that it's not the wrong way. How did you deal with that?
I mean, I haven't really received a lot of resistance, you know. In fact, before I showed you the video in Namibia, I had never shown it, I had never shown it to anyone ever before. So after I showed you that video, it was the very first time I shared it also on my social media, on my Facebook. And a lot of people from home saw that. And it was like I've never had that kind of engagement before on social media. So people were like completely in awe. They were just like, oh my gosh, this is so true. So I think people weren't really doing it because, I don't know, it doesn't really seem like a platform for a person to tap onto to say, oh my gosh, I can speak English, you know? But it goes beyond that. Like people realize that that's where they come from, and they've had like a lot of limitations for those reasons that they couldn't speak before, you know? But there hasn't really been any form of resistance really from my end. Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned a video that you showed in Namibia.
Yes.
Is it allowed to share that, or is it available? Then we could put that in the show notes afterwards, that people can see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send you the link, and then you can just like maybe play it on the side, or like put it on the description or something. You can absolutely show that to people. Yeah.
Perfect. In the book, you talk about 4 stages of breaking the system.
Yeah.
How can we do that? I think some people feel that they're in a system and they want to break out and change it, but how exactly can they do that?
So now I have to remember what I wrote. But
you can describe it with your own word.
Yeah. Where I was coming from was that, I mean, we live in the world where systems are the way to go. You know, you can't really do anything without putting a system in place. So where I was coming from and what I was trying to communicate is that, yes, fine, there are systems, but are they all systems that are good for you? The systems that are put in place that are not in your favor, instead of fighting them like how a lot of politicians would, you have to first learn them. Mm-hmm. You can't fight something you don't understand. You can't reason with something that you do not have facts to. Do you understand? So first you have to learn that you have to expose yourself to things that are beyond you. You have to expose yourself to things that you believe you can't do. Like sometimes we spend a lot of time not doing anything, just existing. But instead you have to learn yourself as well. What are my limitations? What can't I do? What's holding me back? Where do I want to be? Once you learn all those things, you can question them. And once you can question them and have answers to those things, you can definitely create a system that works for you. So that's where I was coming from with the whole thing. Learn, and then change. Once you change, create your own system, build your own system. Okay, but first you have to break the old one to build a new one.
You have to,
so that's
you have to learn it
the message behind all that.
Yeah. And I would also say that you have to master the system first.
Absolutely.
You have to really be good in the system, and then you can break it, and then it's much more effective than just saying, I don't like that system, I've never heard about it, but I just don't like it and I want to change it.
Yeah, if you can't give answers to the questions that you have about a certain system, you surely can't do anything about it. You can't break it. You can't do anything if you don't master it.
Yeah, and people don't trust you when you don't show competence in the system, that you can be the one that you are the one to follow.
Yes.
When you have no experience with the system after all. Absolutely. Yes. There was one thing that from your chapter that really resonated with me, a sentence that was reverse engineer the process, start with the end in mind, and then work yourself backwards. And I like that very much because I had experience in my youth time when I worked in the clinical area of a care home for the elderly people. And I worked through my whole school time just to get some money, and I somehow liked the work. And I really enjoyed speaking with the elder people. And I also saw many people passing away in this time because they were in that age and they were mostly ill and things like that. And what I realized was I tried to think about what are the things that they say about their life at the end. So what are the things that they like? What are the things they're talking about? Is it their job? Is it that family and friends and things like that? And I tried to take that and try to re-engineer my life afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, if I know that is the end of life, and it was mainly the same from everybody. Everybody said, everybody said it's about family, it's about friends, it's about having fun, making good experiences. And I thought, when that is the end of everything, maybe it's good to re-engineer your life towards that direction. So
Absolutely.
that at the end, you can tell the same story. And that you're not in a situation where you say, oh, I missed everything because I worked so hard or whatever. And so I like that sentence very much.
And you know what I like the things that we learn in our lives, we have to apply them also in business. It is also a life that you created. So if you can envision the end that you want for the business, then you can work your way backwards. It sounds really complicated, but it makes everything much more simpler. Like, if you know that at the end of the day, you have to, for example, have a clean kitchen, then that's the objective. What do you do to get to such a point where your kitchen is clean? So that's where you even have a purpose today, right now, to say, okay, when I'm sitting down today, this is what I'm working on, both in my life and in business. You have a systematic approach. You create your own system that you want to follow if you have the end in mind.
Absolutely. Yes. Very powerful sentence. looking at the time, we are already at the end of our talk, but I just want to ask one final question, because we are living in a world that is full of changes right now, not only with the coronavirus, also with digitalization and all these things. If you look at the world and you see the systems the world is following right now, what do you think? Which systems should we change, and what would be your recommendation to do that? Your message to the people?
Yeah, that's quite a question. I think we have to go back to the basics. I really appreciate that technologically we're advancing. I even saw robots the other day from Singapore that are keep making sure people are social distancing. But we have to go back to the basics. We haven't really, everyone is trying to better themselves and progress and all that. But we haven't really, with an honest eye, looked at things like that we're experiencing a lot in South Africa. And I know it's also an issue in America. And I know also at some parts of Germany, I think on the 4th of May, there was riots and stuff. The issues of undermining people because of their race, that's going to be my cry. I don't know for how long. And that was also the reason why I had a culture shock, because racial imbalances are still real. And unfortunately, it's an old subject, but it's still in place. We have to make sure that we cater for people, not just racially. I think let's just say imbalances in general, because gender also, all those kind of things. We have to go back to the basics and say, we are all human. Let's love one another. Let's care for each other. Let's just spread love. Let's be kind to one another. That's really the direction that I would like to see the earth go into, because all these things are nice and they're beautiful, they're fancy, but what are the basics, So if we can conquer that system of acceptance and love and kindness, I think that'll be good for the earth.
That's a truly powerful message. Thank you very much. And let's do this. let's change the world and do this together. I'm so glad that we share this book, and we both are part of this book. And if you want to read more about this chapter from Mushi and all the other lovely co-authors, please read that book. We will put the link into the show notes. And Mushi, one final question. How can people get in touch with you?
Okay, so I am at GP Mushi on every social media, including my YouTube. So if you want to get in touch with me at GP Mushi, but if you want to get directly in contact with me, it's mushi@trend-consultancy.com.
Perfect. We will put that into the show notes too. You can see that everywhere. For today, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. All the best for you, and greetings to Joburg, South Africa.
Thank you very much for having me on your interview.
Goedendag, mijn naam is Paul Ter Wal en de groeten vanuit Zwolle in Nederland.
Dumelang ho tswa kwa Afrika Borwa, leina la me ke Ogopoleng Mushi.
Hello, greetings from West Kirby near Liverpool in England. My name is Chris Davidson.
Moin und hallo aus Berlin, Deutschland. Mein Name ist Ilja Grzeskowitz.
G'day everyone, my name is Lindsay Adams. I'm speaking to you today from Brisbane, Australia.
Hello, and greetings from Erlangen, Germany. I'm Laura Baxter.
Hi, ek is Sigi Lange. Ek is van Windhoek, van Namibia.
Hello, and greetings from West Wales. My name's Rebecca Jones.
Hallo aus Düsseldorf, Germany. Mein Name ist Christian Buchholz.